presentation tonight. The Laporte County Patriots prepared a number of questions, and we're going to present them to each of the three candidates. We'll do it on a rotating basis. The candidate will have 3 minutes to answer, and after all three candidates have answered, then if the candidates want to 1 minute rebuttal, they will have time for that as well. So we have a lot of questions to get to, and we're going to start with Steve Osborne. If any of the candidates want me to repeat the question, because after 3 minutes, this one is a two-part, for example, you may need to catch up. We'll be glad to do that. Steve, the first question. History of publicly elected officials has shown from time to time the abuse of public funds, from missing money to the purchases of unneeded equipment. What will you do to curb the abuse of spending and internal theft? The second part of the question, what experience do you have managing a large budget, and how will this help you in dealing with the finances of the Sheriff's Department?
Well, the first part, micromanaging is very difficult to do. However, there's a lot of resources. A good manager knows where to go for his resources. And there are people I know that are still on the department that work in areas where they keep track of all this stuff. There's a lot of spreadsheets available. And the libertarians, some of the libertarians recently have been looking at the credit card statements of employees in the county, and it is a mess. And there are people who have credit cards that apparently they shouldn't have, and the expenses are really getting out of hand. So micromanaging from the standpoint of looking over these summaries and finding out where stuff is going is a big part of this job. It isn't out there chasing the criminals, which I'm glad to do if they need me. However, if they need me to do that, then the department's in worse shape than these two guys have been letting us know. So shame on them for not letting us. But I don't think things are that bad. I'm more than willing to help out in any way that I can. But in the management aspect, we have a lot of resources to draw on. A manager doesn't always have to know how to do everything himself, but he has to know where he can go to get the answer. Now, on the second part of the question about my experience, I worked for a company where I managed technicians and systems in about 11 states. The technical staff wasn't quite that large, but we had contractors who were also under my wing to ensure that these systems were working. And we would sit down and do budgeting. We had capital expenditure committee meetings that I was a part of every month, and we carefully tracked the expenses and the projects and the costs of these things, and very carefully stayed within the budgets, or if we had to make something that was a little bit unexpected, we did things best we could with what we had, or we also made a good presentation. That's part of it. This is your police department. This is your protection. And it's not like in a business where you have the bottom line that you can see how well you're doing. It's how well you're protected and what kind of services we need to provide to you. And that is going to remain or improve under an Osborne administration. And I'm glad to answer any questions considering this afterwards. But I do have a lot of experience in management of these things and have performed honorably. I also might mention that I've been an honorable person all my life, and I have always paid my taxes, and we'll leave that for another time. Thanks.
How do you get the question repeated?
If I could, please.
Sure. History of publicly elected officials has shown from time to time the abuse of public funds, from missing money to the purchases of unneeded equipment. What will you be doing to curb the abuse of spending and internal theft? The second part of the question, what experience do you have managing a large budget, and how will that help you in dealing with the finances of the Sheriff's Department?
Well, the answer to the first question would be very simple. We're going to be accountable. I actually talk about that, the accountability, accessibility, and approachability, but the accountability would fit in that category. Everyone that's going to be working, myself included, probably at the first and foremost, be a leader in your words and words and actions will match. So we're going to be accountable. If there is somebody that's going to be, for lack of terms, doing improper things or unethical things, they'll be held accountable to that. If it means that we have to, those people get disciplined or fired or whatever, we'll do what we need to do. But again, it's the tax dollars, your tax dollars, my tax dollars. all of our tax dollars that are going to be being abused, and that's not what it's intended for. As an elected official, we have a higher standard as well. So, and the second question in regards to managing large amount of money. I'm a policeman. I was raised by a policeman. I've never made ungodly amounts of money. I'm a proud Laporte County blue-collar worker. I work every day. I manage my money, and I think that's what we really want to think about. Managing money is probably the most important thing. I don't think we teach that to our young children. I try to teach that to my kids. Managing money, the principles that guide that, how you spend your money, is what's more important than how much we're spending, or how much we make, excuse me. So, in that regards, to managing an 8.4, give or take a couple $100,000, which sounds kind of funny to say, but an $8.4 million budget, it's the guiding principles of how you manage the money is, I think, what's more important. And I know I've done that a very good job in my own personal life. Jamie and I, we've raised two beautiful girls, and they're well clothed, we're well fed, we're healthy, and we pay our bills, just as I pay my taxes as well. And you know, they come around quicker sometimes than what we need, but we do pay them, and that's part of our responsibility. So that's my experience with handling money. Thank you.
John, do you need the question repeated?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's actually an excellent question, and this is something that I do every day. It's part of my responsibility. We do have an $8.4 million budget. That's something that I help to oversee. I have annual reviews that I go in front of with the Indiana State Board of Accounts, and to many in Laporte County government, they quiver and shake when they hear that the Indiana State Board of Accounts is in town, in particular in Laporte County government offices. I look forward to meeting with the State Board of Accounts, and I'm very proud of the fact that when I meet with the State Board of Accounts, they give me an exemplary review because of the meticulous record keeping that I do, that I always balance, and that I'm able to answer their questions without hesitation, show them where the money is, show them how we do what we do at the Sheriff's Office. This is something that I won't have to learn when elected because I have that experience. An $8.4 million budget is a lot of money. It's your money. And you need to trust somebody with experience with that type of money. I've got that experience. Yet we do need transparency. You have a right to know how we're spending your money. And that's one of the frustrations that I have at the Sheriff's Office, that to this point we haven't been transparent. I think we should have quarterly reviews with our review board, which is our county council, that oversees how we spend money. We should utilize our liaison, our county council liaison, who is right now is Terry Garner, so he can see our books, so he can see exactly what we're doing and how we're spending their money, your money. It's very important that we report back to you and let you know what we're doing with the money that you provide us. You're our stakeholders, and we're not doing an adequate job of reporting back to you.
We have a lot of two-part questions tonight, so you might as well get used to that. We're going to start the next round of questions. 1 minute rebuttal. Do any of the three of you have anything additional you want to say, starting with Steve?
Well, let me just talk about honor for a minute. I don't know these two gentlemen real well, but I know them so far as to be honorable men, and I really like that. I'm glad I don't have the decision about who I'm going to vote for if I only had those two, because I couldn't make a choice. I know who I'm going to vote for. But I would like to say that, you know, I don't even put a sign in for myself in my own yard, you know.
Got an next one for you.
Thanks. But I said this last time we were together, I've never had a moving violation. I'm going to drive away real careful. In 44 years of driving, I've never had a moving violation. On the Indiana tax form, I don't know, for the last 10 or 15 years or whatever it's been, where they've had on there, have you bought anything that you didn't pay sales tax on from, you know, Amazon's now charging, but I filled that in. I don't know if the other candidates do. I don't know if you do, but I do. That's what a stickler I am for being sure that my finances are done honestly.
How would you like to vote? Okay, John? Okay. Next one again is of two.